I haven't even had a drink with you, and you want me to come over to your house and cook dinner for me?
It's a dangerous situation, and it pisses me off royally.
It's just really disturbing to know that people out there are like this.
As far as the scale of Pokemon Company and the Pokemon Go itself, right? It's giant. It has just as many players as League of Legends and Fortnite.
It all comes down to this.
But how about streamers? A handful, compared to 40,000 streamers in League of Legends or Fortnite. We talk about a 40 versus 40,000. Capitalized. So yes, it's a handful. You know what I mean? But that's gonna stay like that. It's gonna eventually, in Pokemon Go category, it finishes on page 1. You know, if all that 40 is live or something, maybe it goes to page 2 or through scrolls, right? But it finishes there. In League of Legends, in Fortnite, Call of Duty, PUBG, and all those, you can scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, and chatting only scroll and scroll and scroll all day, right? That's what I'm talking about. And the reason it's very important when I bring this up is because for this bestest game is because there the stalking is happening, but most people not aware of, because even the small streamers don't have the voice, so nobody shares it as much. So we only hear about the stalking at the very top level, which we're gonna talk about as well in a minute. I'm gonna show you some examples, but we hear that. So in our community, it's there. Stalking happens all the time. Myself, and I'm a male, and I'm shadowZ, so I drop those mother if they jump me. But with the females that we have in the community, they got stalked multiple times, on multiple occasions, and some scary situations as well. So I wanted to bring it up just a little bit because we are getting, from where we are still a relatively small streaming known players, and this is just players, not just creators and streamers, but players, because players get stalked too, but right now we are small. So once the next season, which is just starting now, World's coming around, and it becomes more and more, let's say, televised and more known of a game and category and sport, esport, then more and more of this becomes a bigger problem. And if you already have it in a small case, imagine when we have it in a bigger case. So I wanted to bring it up now,
winner,
so we can actually come together and prevent this to happen, or just create almost like a rule to self-check yourself before you wreck yourself when you do something stupid that some of these people that I don't think they even knew they were doing was wrong, and yet the streamer was in a really bad situation because of it. So let's bring up this. Let's start with the biggest one that is not in our community. So everybody knows her, right? Everybody knows her. There's no introduction needed. So her stalker traveled from Estonia, Europe, and came to her city, camping out in a hotel with line of sight to her P.O. box, and spent over a month camping out there at a Starbucks next to the P.O. box for 44 days and 33 minutes. So that's pretty nuts. I mean, this person, dude, sold everything in Estonia, including his cat, his pet cat. Even sold it, everything he owned. He shared that information online, and he moved to the US, stayed for a month on an ESTA visa, which you can only stay for a few months, whatever state into your passport. And he stayed there, camped out to watch Amouranth. And while this happened, he was sending messages to Amouranth like this, with him being naked from the hotel, dancing, videos, and then saying that you are lying, Amouranth, you want me to be here. Dude, I can't believe this happened. But so anyways, just walking around constantly on the streets and just live streaming the stalking on Twitch. Twitch banned him, so he created a different account on a different name and signed up again, and he was streaming to 0 viewers, of course, that he's stalking Amouranth. And then eventually he started to get noticed because people were aware of this guy being stalking Amouranth, so he started to get tons of viewers streaming the stalking of Amouranth. The reason I'm bringing this up, because this is where we're heading. I know this is very top scale, but this type of stuff is already happening in our own community. So before I bring up other persons to talk about, for example, everybody heard about probably Momita.
Sorry about that.
Stalker. She had a few of them, actually, 3 of them. 3 different occasions that were like pretty harsh. So we will talk about that in a minute, because everybody knows Momita, and she's an amazing streamer. And she even mentioned it that she's very aware that she's not wearing clothing like Amouranth, of course, on stream, because of what's gonna happen, right? And then, yeah, speaking of stalking me, let me just highlight your message, because that's what I was actually gonna bring up. So I have a few stalkers too, of course. I had people, when I go to the gym, that I know where I work out at, I had people who, they know I go there. Some of them even know what time I go there. So I usually go different times on that occasion. And I go to different gyms as well. And sometimes I just work out at home when I don't want to deal with that. It doesn't happen every time I go, but I go to the bathroom, for example. I was pulling it out, you know. You don't have to pull it out. And I was peeing, you know, I'm peeing in the stall like this, you know, just peeing. And then all of a sudden, I almost feel like somebody breathing on me from behind, right? It literally almost feels like somebody's breathing on me. So I'm like, I look back like this while I'm peeing, right? And you know, the stall is like over there. You know, I have to, you know, to be able to not hit the stall. You know, so enough distance between me and the stall. So anyways, I'm peeing there, and a guy is just standing behind me, and I was like, hello? You know, like keep looking back, and I'm like, what is this guy doing? So I start singing a song, whistling, you know, because I can't pee when people are watching me. And then eventually, I finish up, you know, shake it off, and then put it, you know, put it away. You know, like move it, do the shake here too, a little bit, like this. And then finally, you know, I turn around, and this guy's like in my face, like touching, like right here, in my nose. And I was like, can I help you? And he was literally like, Z! I know it was you! And I was like, okay, hello, how can I help you? And he wanted to shake my hand. And I was like, dude, I just peed. And he just like grabs my hand. He probably licked it afterwards. But anyways, he literally grabbed my hand. It literally just touched my meat with it. I just handled my meat. It definitely has piss on it and all that. And then just shake hands right there. And I did shake his hand, and I felt kind of weird. I was just so off guard. Instead of peeing, I should have been like, like this. But I was just so off guard and weirded out. And because I had a bad experience before with a stalker, I was just trying to play nice. Other time, a guy just came up to me and literally just grabbed my shoulder. I had another time where I just peeing again like this, you know, just peeing there, minding my own business, you know, and then all of a sudden I feel somebody grab my shoulder. I'm like, what the you know, like you freak out when that happens. So since then I only pee, and everybody makes fun of me, but I only pee in like actual closed-in stalls because of that. But parasocial relationships. Yes, that's what I'm heading with that. So thank you for bringing that up, because I don't even know that word, but I know what it means since you bring it at the right time. So that is exactly where I'm going with this, and I just want to lead up to it before we talk about Momita, of what happened to her, and why I think it happened, and what we can do to prevent it. One last thing is just I want to say that I also speak from experience, so I'm not just bringing these things up. I had another stalker who, from Greece, this has not happened last year, this happened years ago, who sent me, or Croatia? Doesn't matter, one of the, it's Croatia or Greece. I still have somewhere the letters. I'm gonna find it and show it to you guys. I might have already shown this long time ago when we first started streaming. But this guy was stalking me and somehow got my address, although I leaked it many times on stream, so I have to be more careful of that. But he sent me pictures of himself and called me like honey, dear, love, and then like how he wants to be my sugar daddy, and then how he has money, and we should live together. I should move there. He used to be a model as well. We have that connection, and he sent me all these pictures of him, and then he sent me all these handwritten letters. One last thing, at a bar, I was having a drink at a bar, and then a guy came up to me who was like, hey, you do those shorts, right? And I acted like that's how he know me, right? I'm pretty sure he watched it. Maybe he's watching right now. Are you watching? Are you watching right now? Anyways, so a guy came up to me, and straight up, while I'm drinking, just wanted to shake my hand, talk to me, and it was so nice meeting you. He hugs me and everything. Asked me if he can buy me a drink, and I was like, no, I'm good. Wholesome. I knew it was wholesome. So, anyways, straight up, and I'm laughing while I'm talking about this because I'm okay. I'm a man. I can handle it. It's uncomfortable at times, but I can handle it, and now it becomes a funny story that I can share with stream, but only leading up to the not so funny story of our community and Momita and all that, when I'm not gonna be laughing when I'm sharing the information. But anyways, this guy asked me if I could buy me a drink and all that, and I was like, nah, dude, I'm okay, thank you, I'm okay. I'm just wanna, you know, hanging out, yada yada yada. And the guy was like, oh, okay. And then the guy was just there standing for a while. It was very uncomfortable, right? And then all of a sudden, he turns around and licks my neck from here to up. Literally. He turns around, comes over, and literally licks, and I saw the whole thing from the side of my eye, because as I see him turning on me, I'm like turning here. So as I'm turning, he's licking up all the way, and it licks my ear. I can feel my ear flicks down. Literally flicks down like this. And I was like, what the dude? And just push him off with my elbow off the neck. And then he got thrown out by security. And after that, the security, I went home. The security escorted to my car and I left. But the bottom line is, if this happens to me, imagine how bad it could be to a female. And even if the female very cautious about how she streams, what she says, who she talks to, where she goes, who she goes with, how she hangs out. You know what I mean? So the reason I'm saying this, guys, because yeah, that's straight up assault. That's what I'm saying. And these things happen. Now I just wanted to warm up to the stories. And then as we like talked about here with Caitlin, with Amouranth, that her stalker moved there and sold everything is pretty insane. And obviously I made notes, and then sending pictures like dick. Oh, by the way, I delete them as soon as I get them. Starting today, I am going to save all the dick pics that I'm getting on Instagram, okay, and Twitter. Momo has a few stories to tell, right? And I had her on the podcast, and we talked about this. And this was, let's start out with what happened to her in Seville. I believe this was the one from Seville. Yeah, this is the one from Seville. So you know, she had 3 different occasions with these, and to point out, let's just go with the. Hold on, let me just read the message that you sent me. I don't actually want to share that, so let me go here. Again, guys, the reason why I'm bringing this up, because if this is happening right now in our community that is so small, and with the handful of streamers, I know it's like we have like 40 streamers, but it's still super small. For the scale, how big this game is getting, and how big this game is with esports and everything, this is gonna get way worse for males and females. So the reason why I'm bringing this up now, because us as a community, we can definitely do about this. And I have a few ideas how to prevent this and how to be just more aware of this, okay? And then so what Momo had, just to show you, again, this is in our community already, is that she said she had 2 guys stalking her different times, but in Seville. One was kind of harmless, but she felt very uncomfortable because he was stalking within 2 meters of her for almost 2 hours. She thinks that walking around the park during the safari ticket day, and he stayed with the group that she was with for hours, even though no one knew him, right? She says that I could feel him watching when he was behind me, and when he was walking in front, he kept looking back and distance and yada yada yada, and just constantly following her around, but nobody knew him. Just following all around and being there. So now the reason why I want to start out with this small version of it, it might sound small to us, to you and everybody, because this sounds like, oh, just somebody just walking around and following you and yada yada yada, right? Well, that's how it all starts, right? Unfortunately, but that's the start, and it gets way worse. You could say, argue this was harmless. You could say, thank God she was with a group. Or you could say the person just had, what I think what happened is, and I hope what it was, the person just has no social skills. She was a big fan of Momo, and he basically just wanted to hang out with Momo, and because of the lack of social skills, or not able to being self-aware of what's going on and how bad it looks or make Momo feel, he was following her around, right? In a bad way. But in his mind, this might have been totally okay. Just like how celebrities get walked over on the streets. And I'm not comparing Momo to a celebrity, but on a small case. It's just a straight up stalker. Doesn't matter if you're famous or not. It could be you. It could be literally you. somebody could put Kuro Senpai, somebody has something for Kuro Senpai because all the things that he writes here, and then next thing you know, he will get stalked around, and the same thing could happen to him. Very, very real. This happens too. So the other guy was worse. This guy probably had no idea what he was doing wrong. I would like to think so, that unless the guy was really wrong in the head, which we can't help. But let's hope the guy had no idea what he was doing wrong, and that is why I'm talking about this. And at the end of this, when we finish this up finally, I'm gonna do like a 3-step thing that we should probably start doing in our community to prevent this and make everybody safe in the community. Bird Power. So I just want to bring her up right now. She's a very sweet girl, very sweet woman. She's young, she's getting up there, everybody starts to know her in the community, and she's gonna be on the stream more and more and more. She's gonna be on Twitter and everywhere more and more and more. She got thousands of new followers all of a sudden, like this. This can happen to her like this, and the only person who can protect her is gonna be you and the community. She will do everything she can on her power, Bird Power. She will do everything on her power to obviously avoid these situations, only go out with friends, don't go home alone, don't dress like a tramp, don't do this, yada yada yada, right? Going on that. So my point is, she's gonna go do all that, but she's little, she's young, she's unexperienced, and she's getting into this position that she probably didn't want to be in to begin with. And then now all of a sudden, people who were stalking Momo might go up to her in the same way and then start grabbing her, which I have already seen. I'm watching for this all the time. I see females and males when you can tell. I'm a very good people reader, and you can tell on people when they are uncomfortable and when they don't want to be there and when it's like not good. You know what I mean? It's bad. So lots of times I see to these, you might know that you know that person. You might think you're really good friends with that person, and that person could think exactly the opposite of that. Just like Home Says Henry said it a second ago. So Bird Power could be right here. I could be walking up to her, and I think it's so good because let's say I had her on my podcast, I had a few drinks with her before, I have talked to her before, and I have seen her many times on streams and everywhere, so I feel like we are good friends. So I walk up to Bird Power and I start hugging her. I might even give her a kiss on the cheeks here because I'm European, it's a European thing to do, and then she might freak the out. And I'm sorry to say this, but that's probably how it happened for 2 reasons. 1, she doesn't have that culture. 2nd, she never experienced it before, and then 3, she doesn't know me. You know, I might just feel like I know her, and that's just one small example. What's going to happen to these people, and they're gonna freak out. They're gonna do something they might even regret. It's gonna create a toxic relationship, and it's create this whole rabbit hole that we haven't experienced it in the Pokemon Go community. What we're about to experience, because I'm already seeing it happen and unfold very slowly. So how you could prevent this? Is 2 things or 3 things. One is be self-aware. It could be you. You know what I mean? Just be very self-aware. Just ask yourself this question: if someone in the community or even that person you're about to go to would do the same thing that I'm about to do to this person, would be okay with. Would I be okay if that person over there that I don't know would come up to me and start hugging me, kissing me, or whatever? Just try to be self-aware on this question. Will I be okay if I do this to that person, me as a person? Not that person that I'm about to like hug and do something to. Will it be okay? Will I be okay with that? Because you would probably be okay with that if that person you want to do it to would do it to you, right? You would be okay with that. So don't ask a question like that. Ask if it's a person you don't know would do that to you, would be okay with you. And if the answer is no, then probably you shouldn't do that to anybody. Let's call it that. So be self-aware, and there's also like self-grading questions that will qualify to what you're about to do a person, if it's okay or not okay. I would start with that. Now the second, if you see it happening right in front of you in this area with a friend, with a streamer, on a community day, on the park. I met many people who said they're not going to community days unless they have friends to go with, mainly females, because of these things happening. So when you see this happening, that somebody is feeling uncomfortable, or somebody just come up and start hugging, and then you see that person is kind of like, you know, like this, or all that, you just want to basically go up and ask if everything is okay, or just basically go up and help the person out by either telling them, hey, you know, even just break the conversation and be there as a third wheel all of a sudden could help. You don't have to go in and be like, get the f off. You don't have to like do anything like that. Don't take it out of context either. You just have to be, as being a third person and stepping in will already do wonders. But there could be some other people who are just watching and not talking. So people who are just literally watching, right, and never say a single word are a different story, because they could come, and that happened to me many times too, they could come up to you and start hugging you and telling you, Z, I love you so much, or Momita, I love you so much, and then hug you, and then can I take a picture? Can I take you out to dinner? Wanna come over to my house? I live alone. And this actually happened. I'm transitioning into her story in a minute. So that actually happened. But that is not okay, because Momita didn't even know this person, but that person was watching her. And so if there's a person who's just watching you but never even said a single thing to you, it's not okay. So if you're one of those, nothing wrong with that. But when you walk up to somebody that you had never talked to before, just say that. Start with that. Open the conversation with that, and then go on with there. Say your name, who you are, and then might recognize it, you know, or might not. But don't get offended, because that's the other thing I saw. When you don't get recognized because you don't have a big voice in the community of the streamer that you're watching, also don't get offended. I've seen that before. That also happened before, that somebody said, I'm sorry, I don't know you. And then that person gets pissed because that person has been watching you for a year, but have never said a word before it, right? So don't get offended if that happens to you. I've seen it before. And it can get really ugly. So just want to point it out there. There are hundreds, sometimes thousands of viewers, and it's hard to remember everybody's name. But if you're active in a community, the streamer will definitely know you. And I'm not really talking about streamers. I'm just talking about, I'm more scared of the players that don't even want to be streamers and they're gonna become famous because of what's gonna happen in the next few years in Pokemon, right? In esports. So that's why I'm bringing these up, okay? So again, the other guy, saw him a couple times in the park, which is expected, I guess, but he's persisted after after the pictures. The guy was persisting to send him DMs and asking for the WhatsApp and send pictures and asking for pictures from Momita. Then she said, I can't remember how much of a story. Oh, sorry, this is for me. Told you, okay,
I think
about
it's
it.
great you had the foresight in addressing this, Daniel.
But then he invited Momita to come over to his house for dinner, and that he lives alone. Red alert. That kind of progressed over 3 days, including the park day. He would text Momita a few times, but luckily she was in big groups, you know, in the park, so nothing really happened. But that triggered more messages from him when the person saw Momita that she's walking around in big groups. And then just keep messaging her in the next few days during the things, and then 30 minutes after the last message, which she didn't see because she was hurrying to get to the train station, he called out to Momita from his taxi because he was local to Seville and had so he called out from his taxi and had slowed it to able to talk. I'm not, wait, was it his taxi? He's a taxi driver? Or he was in a cab and slowed down? I'm confused about that part of the story, but regardless, let's continue on. She just explained to me she would have no idea what would have happened if she just walks alone, so she's happy that she didn't walk alone to the train station. Which I agree with you shouldn't do that. Okay, so it was a taxi driver. Thank you, John Green. I just want to share this, because regardless if this was harmless, I'm bringing it back. I'm gonna bringing it back to the self-check. This is the self-check part. So that person might have thought this is okay, although this was a little weird to me too. You know, come over, I'm gonna cook you dinner. Dude, I don't even know you. I haven't even had a drink with you, and you want me to come over to your house and cook dinner for me? Dude, that... I'm not even okay if a guy tells me that. You know what I mean? Anyways, so that is already like a red alert. But I have no idea what could have happened if I was walking on my own in the country and it was I could have been kidnapped or anything like that. So the bottom line is, do you guys see how uncomfortable she was because of this, and luckily she stick to rules that she's going with friends in groups and all that. And I think we even have a talk with Momita before, because she had another stalker, which I will bring up real quick before we move on, about when she goes, I think on our podcast, Momita, if you're watching this or rewatching this, I'm pretty sure that we had this conversation when off the podcast about the stalking, and then I was just preparing you that when you go to London or go to any of these events, that you go in a group, you never go alone, and don't really share where you're going to be at the time, and just be prepared, because you might think that you only have, at that time she only had about 100 viewers on average. You might only have about 100 people who is watching you from all over the world, so you think you might only have a few people to meet you there, but that is further from the truth. There are thousands of people, because the 100 is just the average viewership that you get on Twitch, but thousands of people watching you every day, you just don't really see that because you see the average viewership. So be aware that there will be tons of people there that actually know you and might want to do more than just knowing you, or want to know you better. So that's what we talked about. So I'm glad that Momita actually stick with the group and did this and sticked around. So she had another guy, I'm not gonna say the names, who was DMing her constantly, and then online was stalking Momita, and then turn it around to making it sound like that he's the victim, and then went for us like tagging him constantly on Discords, on Twitter, and Momita will just keep blocking him. So there's lots of things that happening in a community like this that we don't know. So thank God for mods, just stepping into it. And what I could just recommend to streamers, to just don't even respond. What you could do is, Momita did it right. Momita sent a message. Let me just click on this. Momita sent a message and then blocked the person. So you could do that. You could send a message, save that as a screenshot of you, that you told that person what to do, what not to do, or leave me alone, or whatever it is, and what you're doing is wrong. Save it so you have it for your safety. You can show it to the cops eventually if it goes that far, and then just have no other conversation with that person, because if you keep talking or keep trying to prevent it, you're just feeding and adding to the fire more and more and more. So you want to eliminate any connection with that person, and that might piss off that person, and it got even worse, or that person might move on and go to the next victim. So it can go either way. Just be prepared for both situations. Just want to point it out there, especially because of people like Bird Power, who are being put on the stage and not aware of all these things that are happening to them, and we need to help them out. So you as a community can definitely help out. Be self-aware. Just do the rule. Is it okay for me to do this? If a stranger would do this to me, would it be okay to me to do it? If the answer is no, you don't do it. You just go up and talk like a genuine person. That person might not know you. That's the bottom line. Why I'm bringing this up? Because many people are not self-aware of this for many reasons. One, most of us are, what do you call it? Introverts. Including myself, I'm introvert. I'm very introvert. Us my best friends, us my wives. I'm 100% introvert. I just coach myself to get myself to be more okay with being more open and able to public speak and all those things throughout the past 15 years. But many of us are introverts, especially in this gaming community. Many of us don't have very good speaking skills. And when I mean speaking skills, I mean like, how do you say this? Like communication skills. Not necessary, because this is a gaming community, but it's already coming up to it because we are introverts, and then we don't really experience this because, let's face it, we love video games and we spend lots of time in them. But then, this too is still alright. But the third one that came into this occasion is COVID. When the lockdown happened for 2 years and everybody got okay with not conversating with people, we all became a bunch of we all became like a bunch of a-holes, and everybody became like a voice of the internet and just became bullies on the internet. And then when we meet in person, then we almost like we carried it out in different ways. You know what I mean? So for that reason, it's just really different. You know what I mean? When you meet somebody in person. So those are all three things that you need to be aware of. And then the self-awareness of if somebody's okay with you hugging them or following them around is also a little bit different, because it could, like, look at Momita's case. That person might have meant no harm at all whatsoever, and yet Momita felt life-threatened basically of what happened. But I mean, let's face it, that was honestly not okay. But that's why I'm just trying to bring up the situation that those things are not really okay to do or accomplish. So just do that. The self-check if it's okay or not. Okay. Second is understand that if the oppo fails that kill switch, there are some weird people in the community. There are some weird people anywhere, not just in this community, but anywhere in the world. It could be even a random person at a bar when we go out as a community together and just eyes on somebody in the community and gonna follow home, male or female. That could happen too. So just stick together and just be aware and just help out a friend, a community member, if you see something. Again, don't jump in and fight. You can just straight up walk in and ask if everything is okay. Can I help you with something? Or yada yada yada. Just diffuse the situation. That's it. Right? Now, lastly, again, this is more of a harassment thing. If you see a female streamer or male, regardless, getting grabbed or getting really uncomfortable, and I'm just gonna bring up bird power again because I already saw her a few times. She can correct me if I'm wrong, but she was definitely uncomfortable a few times, not in a bad way or anything. She was just in a new situation. Everybody's uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable a few times, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying it was like something crazy, but this will only get worse. So if you see something like that, just try to be aware of that. Even you, if you see it, even if you guys are friends and you see that she's very uncomfortable, you just step back a step and then walk away, come back later, or say whatever you want to say, or yada yada yada. I hope this helps out with you guys and helps the community and become more aware of this stalking situation and how we could overcome this together as a community. And there's more people. I didn't wanna bring up other people in the community who already got stalked, but there are other people, male and female, who got stalked and all of that, but I didn't ask them for permission to talk about them, so I didn't talk about them. I only talked about Momita because I talked to Momita before the stream, if it's okay if I bring up her situation. And the reason I brought it up because I'm not really worried about the streamers, because even though the streamers didn't want this situation to happen to them, when they sign up to become a streamer, they technically signed the agreement that this is gonna happen to me. So now they're just gonna have to prevent it to happen, to take the steps to prevent this to happen. And it looks like Momita is doing those steps, so I'm very happy for that and that. But again, the only people who can help out the trainers who are going to be on stage and become more famous by the day, even more famous than any of the streamers that are out there right now because they become world champions and all that, it's gonna be you. Nobody else could actually help but you. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, they're gonna get grabbed, touched, hugged, and who knows what. So in order to prevent that, you can help and stop in, and again, just check yourself before you wreck yourself. That's basically what I wanted to bring up, guys, because it can get pretty bad and ugly very quickly. And again, the only reason to stop it is if we can stop it. And thank you for coming for my TED Talk. Yes, I appreciate you guys. Now I'm gonna pop open this bubbly and drink because I got thirsty. Let me know if anybody have any questions or situations that we need to diffuse before we move on to battles. But thank you for listening, guys, and I hope this actually helped you out a lot, because again, it might not seem like a bad situation, but it's already a pretty bad situation, and it will only get worse. So being aware is huge. That's step one.